Dakota Liechti, right? That's how you
Yeah.
pronounce your name? You are a music producer, right?
Yes.
And what kind of music do you produce?
Rap music.
Not my flavor of music, I'll tell you honestly. But
That's understandable.
I like rock music mostly, but I'm a big fan of music and music production. And my kid is 15. He's wanting to be a music producer of some sort. And
That's awesome.
It is awesome. He can listen to a song and replicate it on a keyboard or on a computer or anything like that. He makes his own songs like you, and it's really neat to see that come
Yeah.
together. And how did you get into it?
I really started out, I used to listen to music a lot.
Yeah,
My dad was always, I grew up on like Eminem. So he's a big inspiration on my side.
yeah,
I got to a point where I was like kind of interested in it. So I would, I'd get on my phone or something
yeah.
and I'd look at YouTube videos on how to make music.
Hell yeah.
And a lot of times, because there's like apps on your phones, there's like GarageBand and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I started toying around with that. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's how my son started too, was getting on GarageBand, and he's like, I can make my own music here, and I thought he was full of shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, I was like, oh yeah, you can put sounds but can you make it sound good? And he's like, oh yeah. And then he's like, here, listen to this. And he played me like a 4-minute long song. I was like, you did not do that. That's somebody
Right.
else's shit. You just ripped it off. He's like, no, that's fine. I did that. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. It's hard to get people to believe that you do something like that
Yeah.
until they hear it and then they doubt it.
So are you making any money doing it?
So far I've made probably like $1.30.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something though.
Yeah,
That's-
absolutely.
Where are you making that out? Spotify?
It goes across Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and like a bunch of other just smaller platforms.
Well, I listen to your stuff, and it's pretty good. I was telling Ashlyn, our mutual friend, she's my daughter, but she's your friend. I was telling her, I was like, it's really well produced, and that was before I noticed that on the YouTube channel it said music producer.
Yeah.
I thought you were just a rap artist, but I was like, this is really really well produced. That's a good job, man. I'm not a rap fan, but I noticed the beats were on time. Everything was right. It was perfect and laid out, and it sounded really good together. So good job on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
The reason why I ask like about making money is because when I'm not musically gifted at all. And when I first started the podcast, I didn't have intro music, and I needed intro music. And I didn't know how I was going to go upon getting intro music. So I looked at licensing, and all the like Soundstripe and all those, like all the licensing, you have to repeat those licenses every time you put them out. So if I did 3 podcasts in a row with that intro music, I'd have to list the license on every one of them. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to own everything. So I went to it's called Upwork.com. Have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
So I'm going to have to get you on there, because you can get paid for making little jingles for people or making music for people. And it's just another way you could produce the hell out of some music that way and actually make money doing it while you're working on your own thing. And it's pretty cool, because I paid $75 for somebody to make me a 30-second long intro song.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was so much, because it had price tiers, like $35, he would get it to you within 72 hours. $50, he'd get it to you within 48 hours. And $75 was 24 hours. I was like, well, let's see what he can do. I gave him a song for inspiration, and he came up and he did my intro. It's 30 seconds long, $75 in 24 hours. Think of the amount of money that you could make if you were doing that, let's say, 5 times a week.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Right? And not only could you finance your fun, but you could get more equipment. You could get, licensing and get your business going and stuff like that. That way you can get on Google and people locally can call you and be like, hey, I need a jingle for this. And then every time you hear it on the radio or TV or something, you'd be like, hey, that's my song. What do you, so you said how you got into the music, like you graduate high school, obviously.
Yeah.
And so you have a full-time job now?
I do.
And so where do you find the time to work on your music and stuff?
Normally on my days off, I'll sit down on my computer and I'll work on some stuff.
You spend all day in the studio?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
A lot of the times though, you kind of lose the motivation to do something because it's just you do it for so long and then you're like, this is repetitive.
Right.
So at some point you kind of just fall out of it.
Yeah.
Right now at this moment, I've kind of been iffy on it.
Yeah.
Because I've been working on like 3 or 4 songs with different people. And so I've gotten my part done on that and I'm waiting on them. So it's harder to work on new stuff when you're working on old stuff too.
When you're collaborating like that, it's a lot easier to do when you're all together.
Yeah.
And not spread out. And I think we got kind of spoiled sometimes for like during COVID and stuff, how everything went remote.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of people like that, but I don't. When I'm like collaborating, I like to know what's going on. I like communication, open lines of communication. Like if I'm not going to be able to do something that day, I will reach out and talk to my people and be like, hey, I'm not going to meet this deadline, and I'll tell them why. But most of the time, making sure I meet that deadline is important to me.
Yeah.
And working with other people is so difficult sometimes.
Absolutely. Especially in the kind of music business. A lot of times people will go through what they call a writer's block.
Yeah.
When you can't come up with anything.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah. And so I've gotten multiple texts from people saying like, hey, I can't find my rhythm for this. Yeah. So I just need a little more time. I'm like, okay. And it gets to a certain point where I'm just like, you know what? You're taking too long, man. Like I can't.
Yeah. And especially when you're like, when it's cheap or free and you don't want to be like, come on guys, let's get this shit done. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult. And when you're working with people that like, you don't know if they're like that, are you like that with everybody or is it just me? Are you just dragging your feet on this one project because you don't want to do it? Or are you like this with everything? And because like, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But if I can't depend on you, I don't want to work with you.
Yeah, like if you don't want to do it, just tell me.
Right.
I can always turn around and find somebody else or just make it a single.
Right.
Like I got no problem with that. Just let me know.
How difficult is it to find business around here?
In this area, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Because my music doesn't really generate around this kind of like culture, I guess.
Right.
A lot of the music that I've heard from here are like gang banging and just that kind of music.
Yeah. Tough from the streets of St. Joe.
Yeah. So I don't really associate with that as much.
Right.
So
I get that.
It's hard to find, that kind of
people that like the music and want to listen to it and promote it without you having to do it. Like, I think that's the most difficult thing about this podcasting thing is promotion. I don't do any promotion.
Right.
Which is fucking terrible. But at the same time, the people that I do have listening have been listening from the very beginning, and they are here for me, and they're not, so I use this 80-20 rule. Out of 100% of the people that are listening, only 20% are actually listening. Only 20% are actually watching, and only 20% of them are actually getting something from it. So if you've only got 5 people that are watching your video, some might look at that as a bad thing, but I know that 40% actually watched it. 20% maybe got something out of it. So I'm okay with those numbers. And I think just working on myself as I'm doing this thing, I think it helps out quite a bit, and I'll be able to promote later on when I'm able to say, hey, I've got a great product, come check it out, But at the very beginning, I was like, man, how do I tell people to come listen to my product that sucks? So
it's more of from what I've learned, it's everything outside of what you're posting it on.
Yeah.
is what's going to bring it in.
Yeah.
So if you're posting on things like TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, people outside of the YouTube community are going to see that, and that'll draw that kind of attention in.
Exactly.
And you'll start getting direct messages from people that you've never even heard of.
Yeah, I get messages on Facebook all the time, and it's some of them you do have to weed out the ones that I get so many messages now I can't respond to them all.
Right.
So it's like I have to do the independent research on the person that I'm getting the message from, and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because I used to just respond to everybody, and then I got a couple hacks, and then it's like, man, now I can't respond to everybody, but I don't have time to respond at all. So some people get the old ghosting from me, but the people that do reach out more than once, if they get ghosted and I don't respond to them, like there's probably a reason for that. Either A, I'm busy, or B, it's just not going to work out.
Right.
But there are people that have reached out more than once when that's happened, and like, hey, you thought I was important enough to reach out twice, so I'm going to give you the time and attention that you should have. And I think that works for me. But there's also, I'm on a couple spaces online for podcasters and stuff like that to find guests and stuff, and there's some of those that are just, you kind of have to eye roll and move on. But it is what it is. I think you're right, though. I think having an outside, like Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, outside influence and pushing people towards where you want them to go.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not doing anything on Spotify and people are watching there. I'm not doing anything to push to YouTube other than Facebook and people are watching. So I like I said, promotion, if I was better at it, it would be better off for me, but I can't afford to pay somebody professionally, and I don't want to give my baby to people for free to like have my friends or family do it for free, because it's like, since they're not getting paid, they may do a horrible job or not as good a job as they should because they're not getting paid.
Yeah.
So I can definitely identify you. Promotion is difficult around here.
It is, yeah. It's a struggle. On Instagram, a lot of times, I'll open my direct messages and I'll see different promoters.
Yeah.
But a lot of those accounts are just, they paid for however many followers they have.
Yeah.
Or they're not genuine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're paying all this money so that, realistically, the account says it's got 200,000 followers, but realistically, only 4 or 5 people are seeing it.
Yeah. And then out of those 4 or 5 people, only one of them's interacting. Yeah. I run into that stuff all the time. It sucks.
It does.
To think about it. Like, and the people that are paying for all those subs and interactions and follows and likes, all the people that are paying for that shit ruin it for us. Because then it's twice as hard. We have to work 2 to 3 times as hard to get our names even out there.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with that at this point in my career, because I just started like 11 months ago. So it's not like I've been doing this forever. But I'm still at that point where I'm just kind of working on myself and my product. And then the way I figure it, the rest will follow, And if I end up doing this long term without getting any money or whatever, I'm okay with that too, because it's a pretty cool hobby.
Yeah, if you're doing what you love, dude, that's all that matters.
I was, you said Instagram just a little while ago, and one of the things that I thought was really cool is we made a reel on Instagram, in which we throw all our reels out. We do shorts on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all that, and Twitters, and whatever else we do. But we released a reel on Instagram, and it'd been a couple days. It'd been out a couple days, but then I got a notification on my phone. My favorite creator in the whole world, Julian Dory, had liked one of my reels, and I saw that, and it made my day, man. Because he's my favorite podcaster, and I've had him on the show before. I've talked to him, and I got starstruck, and he's like, man, it's just little old Julian, and I was like, you don't understand, dude. I watch all your shit, and I'm like, I'm a big fan. Yeah. And he liked one of my reels, and I thought that was really cool. I got a really big dopamine hit off of that. I was
oh,
like,
yeah.
fuck yeah, I'm on top of the world now.
Dude, you see that? Those one or two people who are genuine, when they start interacting with your stuff, it's kind of like, oh, like, dude, there's a chance. Like, somebody actually likes what I do.
Right,
and they have recognition.
But for me, it's not even necessarily the recognition. It just, I may get to do this longer. I may get to talk to more people.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when I heard that you wanted to be possibly on the podcast, I was like, well, that's cool, you know, like, and then I found out how old you are, and I was like, well, that's even cooler.
Yeah.
Because young people is really, I'm not, Bearded Bad Dad is the name of the podcast. And the reason why, there's several reasons why I named it that, but young people in particular have come to me asking me for parenting advice sometimes. And I was like, well, why not go ahead and start a show giving parenting advice, talking to different people, talking to experts about this, about that, and why, you know, we should do this or do that. Like the other day, I talked to a communication expert. It was pretty neat. I talked to different doctors on autism and ADHD and stuff like that. And for real, it's nice to have the whole podcast as something that I can work at, get better at, set goals and stuff like that. And I figure, hey, I know a lot about parenting, so why not share that with young people?
Yeah.
Anybody who's curious. And I find I do have a much larger, older audience, but the younger audience, I like to talk to them. And if anybody has any advice that they need or that I can help with, or I know certain information that I might want to pass on to the younger generation, hell, that's what I'm here for. And
I'm perfect.
Hell yeah.
That's perfect.
And so, like, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is like mentoring kids. Like, you know, you're 19, you're old enough to know what you're doing and still young enough that you can be in with younger kids.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's Big Brothers, Big Sisters program, stuff like that. What you're doing in music and music producing, that kind of stuff gets kids' attention, you know, and they might like, well, maybe this guy isn't such a dork. He likes music just like I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you ever thought about doing anything like that?
Not particularly. I guess I'm a terrible teacher. So
I get that. Me too. Me too.
When it comes to, like, you know, sitting down with somebody and trying to teach them how to do something,
Yeah.
I'm super impatient when it comes to that kind of stuff, because what I do really isn't, like, it's not hard.
Yeah.
But to
it's
the
also
person
not
next to me-
teachable either.
Right, right.
Yeah. You can't really teach an ear, you know?
Right.
Like, this is what I hear. If you don't hear that, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when there's someone next to me who doesn't really get it or doesn't understand, I can't blame them, because, you know, that's not where they lie.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, why is it so, you know, why is it like a nature to me? Why is it so hard to you?
I could tell you why, man. I'm not good with technology, so I think technology hates me. But it comes so easily to you because you have talent in a certain area, and you saw, like, music, it not only do you hear it, but you feel it. And not everybody's like that. Not everybody's like that. I know, like, I could ask my 15-year-old, because he's just like that. He has got the ear for music, you know. And I ask him, like, how do you do that? He's like, I don't know. Just hear it. I can just, you know, like, A flat. And he knows what that sounds like. So it's,
Oh yeah.
I can't wrap my head around it.
Right. Something like with me is my hearing is very selective.
Yeah.
So somebody could be talking to me. I'll have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'll be like they'll be speaking loud and clear, and I'll be in my own little world.
Oh yeah.
Doing whatever I'm doing, and I'll have no clue what they're saying.
I do that all the time.
And
to like tuning out.
People get frustrated at me because that's my ear. Like, that's how I am.
Yeah.
I find it hard to pay attention to anything unless I'm like, I hear a certain keyword or something that interests me, and then I'm like, oh, you know.
Or they start hollering at you or hitting you with shit. That happens to me too. Yeah.
And how that ties in with music is I can zone out, you know, the easy stuff. So like most people will hear music and they'll hear a melody and drums and vocals, and that's it.
Right. Whereas you can pick up on that bass line.
A lot of people don't hear the, you know, counter melodies, and they don't hear the, you know, semitones, and they don't hear the little stuff in the background.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, so that stuff's like, I can hear that stuff.
I can when I'm listening for it. Like if I'm listening for a bass guitar, I can hear it. Mm-hmm. But if not, it just becomes part of the melody.
Right.
You know, and which the only reason I do it now is because my kid plays a bass guitar. So
yeah.
And I've always been wanting to learn guitar, learn drums and shit. But the thing is, like, I don't have any talent. So I don't have any musical talent at all. I used to be able to sing, man. When I was in high school, I could sing my ass off. I was in choir and I was good at it. But then one time I was 19 and I was 18 or 19. I got laryngitis, and which affects your vocal cords. I couldn't talk. And next thing you know, like I'm all better and everything, but I can't sing now. I can't carry a tune in a bucket.
Right. I can't sing very well either. That's why I kind of.
So who does all your vocals?
I do all my vocals.
Really?
Yeah, all of it.
That's awesome. So you can't sing, but you do your vocals.
I do, yeah.
Are you in pitch? Do you do good with that stuff?
I do. Yeah, I mean, I can match pitch.
Yeah.
So like if I hear a note, I can match the note.
Right.
But I can't, like with acapella, I can't pick out a note and I can't sing a note perfectly.
Right.
Like I would if I had a melody to sing to.
Like a backtrack. Yeah. I can't. Those acapella singers are amazing.
They're
aren't
good.
They? I love acapella, but I could never do it.
No.
I could, but even if I could do it, I'd still have to hear the track like over. I'd have to play it in my head. I'd have to, I couldn't do it. But that's pretty. So what do you do for fun though? So you got music, and then you got a full-time job. What do you do to get outside of that?
I have a set group of, you know, friends that I'll go out and hang out with every once in a while.
Right.
I used to hang out with them a lot more, but since I got this job and since I've been focusing on music, it's hard to find that time to kind of hang out with them.
Because they've got their own schedules and shit too.
Yeah.
And some of them probably have kids.
Yeah.
You got any kids?
I do not have kids. No.
Well, you got to keep it that way for a little while at least.
I plan on it.
Yeah. Kids are kids are rough, man. I got one of mine sitting in the room with us. So, hi. But no, I get that. Like friends are. So I'm a stay-at-home dad. So I have it appears like a lot of time, but I work on everybody else's schedule. So really, the only time I have available, everybody else is busy.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I'm all alone all the time. And then when my friends, like, they'll call and ask if I want to do something on this specific day, and I'm like, well, what time do you want me to do this thing? And like at nighttime, I can't go at night. And in the middle of the morning, well, I gotta get these people up and going. Like, I can do it at about 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. And they're like, that's no good for me. So I definitely feel you. So like, what do you guys do when you do get together with your friends?
We just hang out.
Just hang out?
I mean, we chill.
Shoot the shit.
Order food.
Hell
watch some movies.
So they around your age?
Yeah, they're all my age. We'll go every once in a while. I mean, sometimes we'll go out and watch a movie or something.
Hell yeah.
But so we don't spend money.
Are you guys, you're rural, right? You're out in a small town?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks too. Because there's not like, okay, so St. Joe is probably the biggest town that you live close to.
Yep.
And like, it's kind of a small town here. Like, it's a little city is what it is. And, which, I mean, out in rural, middle of nowhere, there's really nothing to do but sit around and hang out.
True, yeah.
And eat food. And
all the fun things that you could do.
Yeah,
They're gone now.
Cow tipping isn't a thing, so you can't go cow tipping. What we used to do when we were younger, when I used to hang out in rural areas, we used to get together on four-wheelers and shit. You ever do any of that?
When I lived in Elwood, my grandfather had a four-wheeler.
Hell yeah.
And we had a wide open field out there that he would take us all on a ride. We'd drive it ourselves. It was fun, dude. I love doing stuff like that.
Me too. And I don't have, then you find out how expensive them fucking things are.
Oh, dude.
Four-wheelers are like 10 grand now. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't afford them when they were 5.
Yeah.
So I definitely can't afford them now. And then you look at them and you're like, why is that worth so damn much? Why do people pay so much for those?
Right.
I can make them. I can make that for about $800. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If only I knew what I was doing, I could make it for about $800.
Oh yeah. Dude.
I guess that's what you're paying 10 grand for, is because you don't know how to do it.
Right. You're paying for the service, not even the product.
Right. But yeah, so when I like going, or I like traveling. So we do a lot of traveling, but we go to amusement parks. I'm a roller coaster junkie, dude. Do you ever go and do anything like that?
I do love to travel.
Yeah.
Something that, a big goal of mine is to one day, once I've traveled the whole country,
Yeah.
I want to go out of the country.
Yeah.
And I want to travel, Europe.
That's where I want to go first when I leave
Yeah.
the country. But I'm 39 and still haven't made it there yet. So maybe travel the world first and then United States.
Yeah.
Because Europe is a lot smaller, it seems.
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the European Union is larger than the United States. However, if you're wanting to go over there and travel, like a couple weeks, you could probably see a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And if you spent like 6 months over there, you could see everything.
Yeah, you can travel like 3 European countries in the span of Kansas.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
the US
It's
is
really
big.
like that. Yes.
Yeah.
And explaining to my friends over across the pond, as they say, explaining to them like, hey, it's not small here. Like, oh, why
Yeah.
don't you have a nationwide rail system? Like, well, because our nation's fucking huge.
Because it's big.
Yeah. And not only that, but we're so spread out here. It's like we are probably, well, we're an hour from Kansas City, give or take.
Yep.
Probably a half hour by rail. But in between here in Kansas City, there's not much.
Yeah, there's really nothing.
Yeah. So
A couple small towns, maybe.
exactly. So not everybody needs access to that rail. And but we do have Amtrak from Kansas City to Chicago, and that has little stops on the way.
Yeah.
So, we do have stuff like that. It's just it's a big, wide open country.
We're huge.
And then they come here and then they're like, holy shit, I thought I could get to Las Vegas in a day, and I can't.
Nope.
And yeah, no, it's going to take you a few days to get there. And you can fly there in a day, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But I want to travel too. I'd like to get out and go to Europe and go to all the World War II historical sites,
Yeah.
Germany, and I'd like to eventually go to Russia, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I want to go there because the history is so rich, and I know a lot about World War II and the Cold War that followed. I'm just enamored by all that, and I think I know some Russian people, and I like the culture and stuff. So I think I'd like to go there one day, but I don't know if I'll ever make it because the tensions and stuff. But
Yeah.
man, we got a lot in common actually.
Yeah.
So now that we've talked a little bit about like what you like to do for fun and traveling and stuff, where's the coolest place that you've ever gone?
That's a hard one. I really love Colorado.
Yeah.
Something I do, that I try to do every year is go and visit Colorado.
Hell yeah.
I have some friends in Colorado that live there in the Colorado Springs area.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and make it a point every year to go out there, spend some time with them, go camping in the mountains.
Oh yeah.
That's as far as I guess living would go. like you could definitely live in Colorado and be comfortable there. But the coolest touristy place that I've been to would probably be Yellowstone.
Yeah, I've never been to Yellowstone.
Yellowstone,
I want to go there.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And when you take that trip up to Yellowstone, there's so many things to stop and see along the way. I mean, there's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
The Crazy Horse statue.
Hell yeah.
Which they haven't even finished that yet.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just ahead right now.
Actually, I don't think Mount Rushmore is finished either.
I don't think it is. I think they were. I just don't think they ever got
to it. And then
they
lost the nose off that one guy. I don't know if they fixed that but yeah, I definitely want to make that trip too. We plan on taking like a 2-week trip down like Route 66 and then up the one highway in California and up through the Redwood Forest and on up to Oregon and Washington, end in Seattle. Spend a couple days in Seattle and then drive back down through Wyoming, go to Yellowstone, and go through Colorado, end up, Estes State Park, which
I've been there,
which is right down the road from our house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll just go Route 66 and then up that way and then back down, back home.
Estes is beautiful too.
Hell yeah.
I think that's my favorite spot in Colorado.
Estes State Park.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, I've never been there.
It's wonderful.
I gotta go. My favorite place that I've been so far is the Smoky Mountain National Park in Tennessee. Oh, it's fucking beautiful.
I went there when I was really young. I don't remember it very well.
Yeah.
It was a huge like family trip though. Like everybody in our family went, and we stayed in this cabin in the mountain.
Hell yeah.
And one thing I remember so vividly. It was nighttime, and we were driving back to our cabin, and we got lost. And so the dude that we parked next to had a gate, and the gate had a silhouette of a bear on it.
Yeah.
And dude, when I tell you, we saw that bear.
And thought it was a real bear.
Thought it was a real bear. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
It was about to be over from there.
We went, the last time we went up there, we rented a minivan, and we were driving to the mountains, and we were following GPS. And GPS took us up a mountain pass road. And, yeah, so it was only one lane. And we met somebody on the road, and it was like, oh, shit, what do we do? Because down this side was a sheer drop, and then there was the cliff on this side. And I was like, oh, God. And we were in a rental van. I told my wife, I was like, send it. Let's go. So, yeah, that was pretty weird and wild, but yeah, I had a lot of blast. I had a lot of blast. I had a lot of fun on that trip.
Those mountain roads, they're the same everywhere.
Yeah.
They're all so narrow.
Yeah.
Most of them don't even have guardrails. Like, it's so dangerous.
And you're like, if I fall off of this, there's nothing holding me up here.
That'd be the one place to put a guardrail.
Yeah,
and they're not there. Yeah.
You'd think. But, yeah, I love Smoky Mountain National Park, but I've never spent any time in Colorado, but that's the one place I could probably compare to Colorado is how beautiful it is. One thing, it is a lot different than Colorado. It's more green in Tennessee than it is in Colorado. I think Colorado is mostly gray because of the rocks, but
there's a lot of places in Colorado where the mountains are green.
Yeah.
And they're just, I mean, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And you're on this lookout view, and there's the brick wall to make sure you don't fall over.
Right.
And you're just looking out, and it looks like a Bob Ross painting.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so, it's so different. And once you see it, like, it doesn't leave. It's always there.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love those places and going and visiting those places because, and it's so much different than it is on television too.
Yeah.
And you get that feeling once you're there. You're like, I've made it. This is so gorgeous, and I don't want to leave. Yeah. And then those places where you get that feeling where I have to leave, or, like you don't want to leave, but you have to anyway.
Yeah.
And you miss that place. Those are the best places to go.
Absolutely.
I'd like to go to Hawaii too. That's one place I'd like to go. It's Hawaii.
I've never been to Hawaii.
There's on the Joe Rogan podcast, they talk about Hawaii quite a bit, because there's a observatory there. It's called Keck Observatory.
Yeah.
And you can go up there, and it's like miles above the clouds. And what makes it so special is Hawaii has a light pollution law. So at like 7 p.m. when the lights all come on, they have to have diffusers on them so they don't pollute the area with light.
Yeah.
And because of that, it makes Keck Observatory so beautiful. It's like being out in the country, except in the middle of the ocean on an island way higher than the clouds. And it's so beautiful. And I want to go there. It looks awesome in pictures. Like I'll show you when we get off here, but it's so beautiful. I want to go there. But there's so many places in the United States I want to go to. Like I want to go watch a rocket launch at Kennedy Space Center. I want to do that. There's so many things I want to do here in the United States.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, Europe is a fucking place to go. If you want to go to fucking Europe, you got to go to Europe.
I think Europe would definitely be the place for like the scenic type of views. Like visually, Europe is definitely.
And be prepared for everybody to know you're American.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just looking at you, they'll know that guy's American.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I thought was really funny is that I learned is Americans lean on things. We lean on things where other people don't. And so if you go and you're waiting in line and you lean up against the wall like this, you're just leaning there. They don't do that over there.
Really?
Yeah. It's weird.
That is so weird.
It is. And it's weird that people pay attention to that. That's what I think. It's like, oh, that guy's leaning up against the wall. He must be American. You go and talk to him. He's American.
I thought that was just human nature.
Right. Me too. But apparently they don't do that over there. And the Russian President Putin, how he walks has been analyzed by the CIA, and like I noticed a little like hitch in his giddy up when he never moves his right hand. And you'll watch him when he walks, he'll swing his left hand, but he never moves his right hand because he's always got a pistol on his side. And that's a KGB thing. I guess they trained their KGB guys back then to do that. And so now I see it fucking everywhere. So I'm like, is that guy a Russian agent? Is that guy a Russian agent? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or is that guy carrying a gun? Just after knowing stuff like that, you could see it everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But it's pretty awesome that young people are getting into music to not only like music, but make music. I like it that you're making music that's very impressive because I myself can't make music and have to pay somebody like you to make music for me. And that's pretty awesome. And I don't know if you know how rare that is. It's very rare. I've got a lot of people in my life that love music, but I only know one person that can do what you do, like play music by ear.
Oh, yeah.
And that's my kid. And it's very impressive when he does it. And so one of these days I'll just like I said, I'm broke now, but I'd love to pay you, get some music from you, and we'll work out something. And I'd love to have you on the show more. And cause this is kind of, it's kind of first time we meet and kind of weird and awkward and stuff like that. And next time we come on, we'll talk like we're old friends or whatever. But I think we can work together. And I think we probably have a lot in common, and we can hang out and shoot the shit, and we'll see if we can give you some ideas on how to make more money on your music and just promotion and stuff like that. Maybe we can help each other. You can teach me how to promote, and I can teach you that you need to promote and stuff or you could teach me vice versa, however it goes. We'll see you guys. Bye.